Okay, well we're finished with the vector design. So now what we need to do is load it into Aspire to generate machine code. So what we'll do is start the timer again. Open an existing file. There it is. That's what we designed in Autocad. 0 point is not in the right spot, so I'll do a bit of tweaking. 0, 0. The thickness I'm going to use is 18mm MDF, so I'll set that to 18.3. Center the data in the job and click OK. And that's what we'll be working on. Well, what I'm going to do now is put in identification for all these blocks. Basically what the bending form is, my business name over here somewhere, and then we'll generate the code to suit. So go into text, call block 1 A1. We can go 6mm high. Click OK, and we'll put that there. That'll do for now. Control C, Control V. Now the reason I'm using Aspire to do this, it's a lot easier to enter text in Aspire than what it is in AutoCAD. So I've got those blocks identified. Control C, Control V, select them and drag them roughly in the right position. And it's nothing fancy. Obviously I'll have to change the text later. Control V. All I'm interested in at the moment is getting the text, some sort of text in there. We go down with that one. I've made a few copies of this. Let's just delete the whole thing. We'll put that back up into there. Check for duplicate vectors. Copy that one. Now at the moment I'm just interested in putting text. I don't care what the text is. And that's about all I need. So now I can go in here, change the text as I need it. Actually no, that's A2. A2 there. B1. B1. B2. B2. This one I'll call tail block. This one here I'll call the neck block. So that's all the text I'll need there for a moment. I'll rotate that 90. Rotate that 90. And then just reposition it so it looks pretty. So that's the block identification done. Now what I'm going to do is put in what it is we're doing. Bending form, tenor, ukulele. Side A. And I'll position that up here somewhere. Control C that. Control V. Put that down here. Now what I'll do is change the sides there. Side B. And I'll rotate those. I'll position that a little bit central. Tweak it a little so it lines up with the side and looks good. Bring that down a little. Go back to this one. Rotate that one. So drag that a little more. Minus 0.1. No, we want 0.1. And we'll just tweak it until it looks good. Reposition that a little. So it looks about even. And that works for me. Now what I'll do is Extreme 2013. Apply that. I'll bring that up to here. Close that. Rotate that. And then rotate it so it looks good. What we'll do, we'll save that. We'll call it tenor final. I hate it when I do that. Save that. And that's the basic design. What I need now to do, I will enlarge my job size. That's this white square. 600 wide, 600 high. It doesn't really matter. Save. Now, so I don't get too confused on this, I'll click all of these. That one, that one, that one, that one. And I'll group them. And I'll click the other side. And missed a couple. Group those. Group. group, group, again, and that's all of them grouped. Now why I've grouped them is I can now just select that and move the whole lot in one piece. So what I'll need to do is separate these a little. I'll just do it rough for now. Just to get some space in there for the tool. And we'll call that near enough. I'll select all those, ungroup the items, come over here to my Toolpath. Let me just central these. First thing I'll do is create a profile toolpath. I'm going to select a D bit, in this case 22.5 degrees, 0.15 millimeter tip. That's okay. I want to go 1/2 mil deep and I want to go on the line. So what I want to do is select all of the engravings, which is the text, these little alignment marks in the whole job. Again, very monotonous, but this is what needs to be done. So I've selected all those. I'll call them engraving. Calculate that. And that looks pretty good. Now if I close that, you can see where this toolpath is located. Now that's only showing the center point of the tools. So if I come over here and say solid, it now shows the actual engraving. So just have a look at all that. That all seems to be fairly good. So we're happy with that. Now what I need to do is basically cut all these shapes out. So what I'll do is select another profile toolpath. This one I want to go on the outside, and I'll use a 1/4 inch end mill, 6.35. Select that, select that, select all the outside cuts. We'll call that cutout. I want to go 18.3 millimeters deep, and we'll calculate that. Now we just have a look at that. That's pretty good. But what I want to do, so one thing I didn't do is set up the job. My material thickness is right. It took it from when I loaded the vectors in. But the clearance and the plunge I'll change. I'll put 2 mil clearance, so the tool will only lift 2 millimeters above the surface. And plunge I'll put 0.2, so it will go rapid plunge down to 0.2 millimeters, then go to the set speed. So we'll call that right. Go back to our cutout. Now that will cut exactly on the line, so I want to put an offset. We'll try a 0.25 mil, recalculate that. What that does is it brings the tool 1/4 millimeter away from where I actually want it cut. So that gives me a roughing toolpath. So I'll come up here, we'll call it roughing. I want to add some tabs, 15mm long, 1mm thick. Edit tabs, add some tabs, and you can see it's put in T for tab. So what that'll do is when it gets to that point, the tool will lift and allow something to hold the blocks and the outside forms to the basic piece of MDF that I've cut out. That way the blocks don't come loose and get carved up by the tool. So that's near enough for there. Ramps I'll add. So add ramps, spiral, which means it will take all of that to go down, in this case 2mm. I'll change that to 5. Plunge rate I'll change to 1500. Select OK. Calculate that. And that's good enough for me. I'll go into Preview Toolpaths. It will show me basically the roughing toolpaths. If I select engraving only and run preview visible toolpath, it will give me an idea of how the engraving will look. If I now select roughing, preview toolpath, it cuts it out, and you can see the tabs down here. I'll close that. Now, it was a roughing toolpath, so what I need to do is copy that, open that, go into edit. This time I want to go down 18.3, which is the full depth. Still on outside. Set that to 0. I'll keep the tabs, keep the ramps, calculate that. I'll zoom in here. I'll call that finishing. Now if I deselect that, there's the finishing toolpath, and you'll see the roughing toolpath is a little bit further away than the finishing toolpath because it takes the tool and offsets it a little more than the second one. The finishing toolpath just skims 1/4 mm off it. If I go solid, you can see the difference. So let's go back into our preview, reset it. Let's go preview all toolpaths, and there's the final result. What we have at the moment is only one part of the bending form. Now it's going to need 3 layers. So if I go back to here, and I'll save that. What I'll need to do now is to take everything that's there and duplicate it 3 times. Once I've done that, I'll need to nest all the parts together so I get the best use out of the MDF blank. But I don't need the 3 layers to have all the text on it. So I'll do a quick part, let's say 1200 wide. Control C that, Control V that. Let's bring that out there. Control C that, Control V that. This one here I'll use as the top. The rest of it I can get rid of the text. So we select everything, deselect the bits that I don't want, and delete the rest of it. Now I'll save that again. Now I won't bore you with how I nest all these items. I'll come back in a minute and show you how things are done. Okay, what I've done, I've resized my job setup, 500 wide, 800 high. I've nested the first part, which is the full engraved part of it, the top section. I've copied the next section and turned it. So what I'll do now is, I need one more. Select all that, Control C, Control V, go into rotate selected objects, rotate it 180 degrees, and then roughly position it where I think it's going to be needed. So that's about near enough. Come back in here. I don't need to redo the engraving because it's only on one part. The roughing, I now need to add all of those, and you can see it automatically loads tabs. So I'll calculate that, close that. Finishing, same as the roughing, calculate that. There's my engraving. Actually, I need to recalculate all toolpaths. Engraving, roughing, finishing. So we go into preview. There's our new size. Preview all toolpaths. It's a little difficult to see. What we can do is now once this is cut out on the machine, I'll just basically slip a knife through each tab and then clean it up with a little bit of sandpaper. And once that's done, I just glue everything together. So that is pretty much it. It'll be on a piece 500mm by 700. Now if I go back into here, recalculate, estimated machining time tells me it will take 49 minutes to machine. That's probably about right. So there you go. That's the process from customer supplied drawings to the almost finished product. What I need to do now is save the toolpaths. Now I've got to select Mac 3, save Toolpaths, and I'll call it Uke Toolpaths. Save that. Open that and have a look. Data files, temp uke, and there is all the machine code to run that. So that's how many lines? 38,996 lines of code that it will have to run. So thanks for watching. Total time taken to get to this point, about 1 hour and 10 minutes.